Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network.
Hey everybody, this is Alex Bennett, host of the Ramble, heard here and seen here on GabNet, Tuesday through Fridays, live at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, and I got some big news for you. Our program has moved its live video from Facebook Live to YouTube Live. After extensive tests in our GabNet laboratories of at least 10 minutes, our mind was made up and we've come to the conclusion that YouTube is superior not only in video quality, but audio as well. And then there's the ease of watching it. Here's what you do. Simply point your browser to youtube.com/Bolo Bennett /live. That's youtube.com/Bolo Bennett, BOLOBENNETT /live. And you're there. The player is waiting, and you do nothing, and when the show begins, so does the player. Couldn't be simpler. In fact, tag that page as a permanent tab on your browser, and you're ready to go. And if all of this is too vexing for you, well, just go to gabnet.net near showtime, and the player in the middle of the page will start to play when we're on. We're thrilled with the new quality our move has provided, and while you're there, would you do me a favor and please subscribe to our channel? No, I beg you to. Hey, listen to me, I'm groveling, okay? I know, it's pathetic. I'm sorry, I'm debasing myself, and I really shouldn't be. Please.
If you're looking for great conservative talk, it's right here. If you desperately seek great liberal talk, it's also here. And if you want independent talk radio, it's here as well. Be part of the many voices of the Citizen Panel. Exclusively here. All opinions, all ideas, all in one place. The Great American Broadcast Network. Are you still listening to half-assed talk radio with a host talking down to a caller? Turn it off and turn on the Great American Broadcast Network. You'll hear the host talking with lots of listeners, the Citizen Panel, and they become the co-hosts. Turn off half-assed talk and turn on talk radio with more ass than you can handle. All opinions, all ideas, all in one place. The Great American Broadcast Network.
Reasons why you tune into GabNet. Here's reason number 9. Great celebrity guests.
So how many years is this now with Teller?
43, and that's 43 continuous. You can try to say Keith Richards and Mick Jagger go longer, but they take 3, 4, 5 years off. You know, even when they're together, they take the time off. Continuous, no more than 2 weeks working apart, I think.
Wow. And
like being waterboarded for 43 years.
GabNet. Reasons to listen every day. Log on to gabnet.net for more. GabNet. It's talk like you've never heard it before. Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before. This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network.
Hey, this is Alex. This is the Ramble. It goes until midnight Eastern Time here in the United States on the East Coast of America. And every now and then, every couple of weeks, we go to call somebody, and it goes something like this. Okay, everybody, here we go. Let me see here. Got to call out to our old friend here. See what happens here. See if he... there we go.
And now it's time to play Double Jeopardy, and the answer is Hank Williams, John F. Kennedy, and Jane Mansfield. Who are three people? Seatbelts wouldn't have helped. Ding, 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 ding. A new winner. La, 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 la. Thank you.
I don't know how you can be this perky this time of the morning. What time do you get up, Stephen
What is
Pearl?
It's 10 in the morning. I've been up for several hours. I usually get up at 4 or 5.
Yeah.
And I have my coffee, and I smoke my bowl, and I watch my TV, and I'm ready for action.
Wait a minute, you smoke a bowl that early in the day?
Oh, well, certainly. That's why I'm so jolly this time of day.
Oh, boy.
And I already had a couple of waffles with butter and syrup. Who could be grouchy this time of day?
Wow.
After all that fun. And I'm having fun, and I'm working. And yesterday, the dentist made my smile beautiful again, and my insurance covered it. And I had a great time with Carl LeBeau in Arizona. And right now, I'm watching I Love You, Alice beat Topless and playing with my cats. Life couldn't be better.
You sound happy.
I'm content. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I'm too smart to be happy. I know the world is shit, and I know I'm going to die sooner or later. But right now, I'm very content.
Isn't it funny that, for all the years you spent in the San Francisco Bay Area, the place you can get work now is Vegas?
Yeah, it's crazy. I never thought I'd live here, and I never thought I'd like living here. But I do, and I'm working, and I'm seeing all my friends pass through town, and it's fun,
Yeah.
And my lady was here for a couple of weeks, and then she left yesterday, and now I'm all by myself with my little cats. I'm living in a cat house.
Yeah, living in a cat house. Well, it's in Nevada.
Living in a cat house. Yep. But I like it here, and it's affordable to live here, and it's nice.
It's affordable.
Yeah. Thank you, Bugsy Siegel, or whoever came up with the idea.
Well, wait a minute. So, for instance, what have you got? What are you living in?
What am I living in? We got a one-bedroom, and it's a nice living room. We can go bowling in. There's plenty of room in it, and what is it, $9.75 a month, which is really nice.
Oh, my God.
And I'm splitting that with my lady, and when Tamayo stays here, it's even less. So I got my own pocket space and everything.
Yeah. So when's your lady coming back? She's got a mother that's sick, right? That's why.
Yeah. She's taking care of her mom, but she came out here for a couple of weeks, which is nice. And she took care of the cats while I was in Arizona for 3 days a couple of weeks ago, and hopefully she'll come out here next month. So and we shall see. We shall see.
So what do you do? Like, you don't work every night, right?
No, I don't want to work every night. No,
so
I stay home. Sometimes I'm in bed by 8 or 9. I'm an old fart.
So
that's why I get up so early.
What do you do in Las Vegas?
What do I do anywhere? Nothing. I watch TV and enjoy being home, play on the computer, whatever, listen to tunes, play with the cats. I'm busy enough. And then I work. I worked to play a couple of places last week. I'm off this week, but next week I start working, and February's starting to fill up, so I'm very happy about that.
So, in other words, during the day, do you go out? Do you go there? Are there places to hang out and do things and so on? Or basically, do you just stay home because the only thing in Vegas are all those casinos?
Yeah, I'm not a gambler. I work casinos, but I'm not going to hang out in them. And But what do I go out? I see friends sometimes. I have some friends with dogs, and I'm going to make a play date for next week to play with their dogs. And because you can't just have cats in your life. And what do I do anyway? I hardly go out during the day. I go out to shop, and sometimes to take a little drive, or to fill the car with gas, or get it washed. That's how they say washed in Washington. And what do I do anywhere? I'm not running around like I used to.
Well, that's for damn sure.
I can't even skip steps when I walk upstairs. So,
yeah. Do you feel, for instance, there are a lot of things happening in this country right now?
Sure, right? Sure.
Do you feel removed from them there?
Well, if you watch the news, you're not removed from them because it's right in your face and there's all kinds of horrible shit going on.
Yeah.
But at my age, I'm not ready to fucking take it to the streets, unless it gets really serious. And no, I'm living my life. Let the young people worry. Let them have the voil. Whatever they want to do, it's good for them.
As a kid who used to go out protesting and marching and doing all of that,
sure.
I even said back then, I have to do it because I'm young. But I also said when I got older, that's really something for young people. Because it takes young people, like for instance, when I went to a march in Washington, I slept on somebody's floor in New York, in Washington. I would never sleep on anybody's floor now.
Oh God, no! I couldn't unless the floor was made out of nice mattresses. But no, man, I can't do. I can't.
Exactly.
I can't hitchhike anymore. I can't sleep on someone's kitchen floor anymore.
No.
I'm too over this shit. So one reason I won't go on the road anymore.
But,
unless it's a fun gig. It's just God, I'm just too old to be staying in hotels every night.
You would put up with circumstances today that you would not have put up with then.
I put up with circumstances then. I wouldn't put up with now. That's for sure.
Excuse me. That's what I meant. You put up with
circumstances. That's what the mind is going. So you need more chicory.
Really, what I say is marching and protesting and everything is something the young people should do.
Yes, they should. If they see an injustice, whatever side you're on, they should march against it. We did with Vietnam. It was amazing. It was amazing times like that. So.
You shouldn't feel bad.
But now, let you guys figure it out. The young people.
Well, you shouldn't feel bad if you're old and you don't, because you did.
No.
I mean, I did.
No.
So I have no guilt at all about saying, hey.
Me neither. I put myself in the way I get hit in the head with a brick or a club or a bottle or getting beaten up by all those marches I was in, and I'm glad I did it. And I do it again if the same thing was happening. But right now, it's just there's nothing wrong with marching at any age if you really believe in something. Right now, I just don't see anything really to march against, even though I'm not that happy with what's going on in Washington, and it really never was. So we got another nut in office. So what? We've had nuts in office many times.
Well, I could see things to march for, but
sure.
But to get me out and down to the march, it takes a lot of strength that you don't have when you're older.
Exactly. Yeah, and I could march a long time when I was younger. I could march like all down whatever Madison Avenue or whatever they did in New York or Washington. I can't do that today. I can march for a while, but not forever.
And also, I don't know. I came to the conclusion. Oh boy, we lost him. Let me call him back. But this happened last time we were dealing with him on the phone. But we didn't have any trouble when we were doing Bubbles yesterday. So we did a lot.
It was just getting sizzling, and we got cut off. The goddamn FBI.
This happens with you when I'm using Skype. It doesn't happen with Bubbles. Doesn't happen with anybody else. But it happens with you. Well, what the hell?
Well, I'll do what Bubbles does and get one of those like 1975 shell type phones, clam tops, whatever they call it. He's got a rotary dial on his cell phone. 9, 8.
I have offered him an old phone of mine. Not an old phone. I mean, it's what they call a 6S, and it's the biggest one they made back then. And it's really good. It does all the stuff, that a phone's supposed to do. And I said, it's yours. All you got to do is go find somebody who's going to sell you a service for it.
Yeah.
Call up AT&T and see how much it's going to cost. And he doesn't.
He'll do it. And he's happy with what he's got, which isn't much.
I don't think Bubbles is happy. I think Bubbles has a reputation to live up to.
Yeah.
And if suddenly he had a new Apple iPhone, everybody would go, "Oh, well, it's one little thing we don't have to say about Bubbles anymore."
Yeah.
But what's the one thing? Whenever you talk about Bubbles, what's the main thing that comes up?
Yeah. For a guy who's unhappy, he's trying to do his best to stay alive. He's like jog 6 miles a day and all that stuff. So, yeah, guy you think he'd want to jump off a building. Oh no, I got to stay healthy. I got to live forever.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the great paradox of Bubbles.
Exactly. So
Yep.
But he won't. He literally won't. He doesn't go ahead and get it done. And I've got this phone sitting here. I would look. I turned it on today.
He still has a desktop computer. He doesn't have a sound card. He can't play videos or anything like that.
He doesn't have a sound card?
Yeah, he doesn't have a sound card for his computer.
How old is his computer?
I don't know. It's probably got Windows 62. I think it's actually an Etch-a-Sketch connected to a typewriter connected to a blender. It's one of those old-timey computers.
Oh,
but it's all right because he doesn't like music anyway, so he's not going to listen to music or anything.
But isn't that what we love about him?
Of course. He's the bub man. I would be disappointed if he was any other way.
He's the only guy I know that when he was young, he was old.
Exactly. Exactly. Like Jimmy Durante, he was born old.
He was born old, exactly. Yeah, you can't.
That should be the name of his next hit comedy album, Born Old.
You can't imagine Jimmy Durante young.
No,
you know,
I can't imagine like a 17-year-old. I gotta get some snacks.
You know something?
I'm a horny young teenager.
It's funny.
I hope she gives me some nose later.
You and I are talking about somebody that we consider to be, you know, an icon in show business, and yet I would imagine the people who are listening to this right now, most of them don't know who Jimmy Durante was.
No idea. They probably think she's a Teamster or a labor leader or something. Jimmy Durante, doesn't he head of the AFL-CIO or something?
Yeah, right. But he was, when I was a kid, he was my favorite comic. Kids loved Jimmy Durante.
Oh, sure. Everybody loved him.
Yeah. And you know who loved him the most? The Mob.
I don't know.
He was the Mob's comic.
Oh, did they?
He was the Mob's comic. Oh, yeah. He would play the Copacabana all the time. Yeah. He was the Mob's comic. They loved him.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Well, he was one of the first guys to play Vegas, I think, when Bugsy Siegel booked the first show at the Flamingo. Jimmy Durante was there. Rose Marie was there. He was one of the first guys to play there.
But you know one of the saddest things you'll ever see? You had Buster Keaton. Again, folks, look up Buster Keaton.
Here we go. Let's make that time machine.
In fact, Buster Keaton may have been, for my money, he was the greatest silent comedian of them all.
Oh, he's amazing.
He was amazing, and
the stunts he did would have killed like 20 other guys. It's insane.
He broke his neck and didn't know he broke his neck. Years later,
the man was made of rubber.
Years later, they took an X-ray because he had some kind of fall or something, and they said, "Do you know you broke your neck?"
I had no idea.
They said, "You mean just now?" He said, "No, years ago."
Years ago.
Yeah, but anyway, because he would do all his own stunts, folks, until he went to MGM, and then they figured there was too much of a liability in that, and they had other people do it, and they weren't funny. You know, he knew how to do stunts and make them funny. But anyway, he went to work for MGM, and he had been producing all his own films and directing all of them. And then when he went to MGM, they said, "Oh no, we want to use our in-house directors," and blah blah blah. And they started controlling his career, and he started drinking because he was very unhappy.
Oh.
And they decided, well, you know, his star has faded because he was very big in silence. And it wasn't that he didn't have a great voice for comedy. His voice was terrific. But they had an idea that, he's a silent comic. Let's put him in some stuff. So they put him in musicals. That was something they put him in. There was a musical he did, and he wasn't bad in it, but, you know, that wasn't his thing. Finally, they just said, well, let's team him up with somebody. Let's make him a team. And they teamed him with Jimmy Durante.
Oh, really?
And that didn't work at all. It was like oil and water were trying to mix, you know.
Like Abbott and Hardy.
It was terrible. It was just terrible. So, anyway. Enough of the silent stars, folks, because you don't even know there were silent. They don't even know there were silent movies. Okay.
No, not movies without special effects.
In fact, they don't know there was black and white television.
Yeah, that's right.
You know,
they used to make TVs that only got black and white long ago, kids.
Actually, color was brought in originally in about the mid-50s, which was only about 6 years after television, 8 years after 7 years after television kind of hit the marketplace. They were going to do television in 1939, and they were going to roll it out and get sets to everybody and start transmissions and all that. And then the war broke out. So there were no parts and none of so they didn't start television until like about 48, something like that.
That's right, 48, 49. It was getting known.
Yeah. So it was. So by 53, they had color. But it wasn't until, I think, 63 that color became cheap enough for everybody. And they started coming out with the cheaper sets and everything, and all the networks like NBC said, "We're going to be all color," and then CBS said, "We'll be all color," and then ABC said the same thing, and so finally, color came into its own in about 63, 64.
Yep. Remember the NBC Peacock, and then back then everyone had like one or two neighbors on the block that had a color TV, and you became friends with them quickly.
But do you remember how in the early days? You remember how small those screens were?
Oh, sure. Yeah, you had like the TV would be the size of like 10 refrigerators, and the screen was like the size of a porthole.
It was like a 10-inch screen or something like this, but the size of an iPad.
Yep. But it was in color. You could finally see what color Gilligan's shirt was. It's red. Oh, boy, I know now.
They had, I got to tell you, you'll love this story. They were competing color systems. And because RCA Sarnoff, who basically brought television into the world, wanted to be the guy who had the color television system, they were competing against CBS, who had a color television system. Now, the CBS system, oddly enough, the color picture looked incredible. Where the NBC version, the RCA version, was a bunch of dots and so on the screen.
Yeah, I remember those. Yeah,
and it didn't have the clarity of the CBS system. There was just one problem with the CBS system. It had a huge wheel that rotated in the set. If you can imagine this, it would, and I don't think it made a sound. I think they had it so it was quiet, but it whirled like an incredible speed. So the best system was the CBS system. So the FCC okayed the CBS system, which drove
the whirling wheel.
Sarnoff and CBS crazy, NBC crazy. So NBC started a campaign against the wheel system by giving out reports.
Ban the wheel.
No,
I remember the ban the wheel movement.
Giving out reports that the wheel had come loose on some television sets and decapitated people.
Oh my God!
Which wasn't true, but it was enough that by I think it was 1948. The FCC reversed its decision with CBS and gave the system to RCA, who then came out with this vastly inferior system. The idea of a wheel in your television set whirling around, I don't know. I'd have to see that to believe that it didn't make noise and that it didn't decapitate people.
Yeah, I'd pay to see that.
But that was the big story back in the day.
Yeah, well, it's like, early Vic Morrow.
Early Vic Morrow. Kids, Vic Morrow was an actor.
Let them find out by themselves. You have Wikipedia, don't you?
Well, go see
look it up in your Encyclopedia Britannica.
Go see his last movie, The Twilight Zone, the movie, and you'll see Vic Morrow.
Go to YouTube and watch the accident happen. You'll see part of Vic Morrow.
There was a little accident during the making of that film, and Vic Morrow was killed. Okay?
That's right. His last words are, "My hat."
Hey, the kids out there are just getting an education here. Who else can we say?
That's right. Listen and learn, you punks.
By the way, we lost, what was her name, that actress? Now I'm trying to remember. We lost an actress today. Kay Ballard.
Kay Ballard died, the mother's-in-law.
Yeah. Now, you see? Anybody out there know who we're talking about, Kay Ballard?
No, of course not. Ballard, they don't know Lee Arden, Kay Ballard, Richard Deacon, none of the cast of The Mothers-in-Law.
Oh, Richard Deacon was on The Mothers-in-Law?
I think he played one of the husbands. They replaced him with someone or someone with him.
Yes, folks. See, we're talking about stuff you don't understand. This is a conversation between two old pals who know about this stuff.
Too old for it. I remember watching the Three Stooges in Spanish on UHF.
Now, I'm not saying that I'm mourning the death of Kay Ballard, who, by the way, was 92, I think.
94, 92, something like that. Born in the 20s.
Yeah.
Old-timey.
She died, and but she was not one of my favorites. But I knew she existed because she was always there, you know. But it's kind of so with Kay Ballard, goodbye, and everybody can go, who the fuck is Kay Ballard?
Well, look her up. or don't look her up. What do I care?
You know, these people, do you ever come up against these people and you go, they're still alive?
Oh, yeah. So people like, I remember when Frank Capra died. I thought he died in the 40s. He died like the 90s or something.
Yeah. Well, here, you know, do you know who's still alive? I looked this up because I went, God, I remember the guy, and did he die? Because I don't remember seeing any death notices. And he was the host of the Today Show, or he was on the Today Show, and he was let me see here, a host of 2020, I think, on ABC and whatever.
Oh, Hugh Downs.
Hugh Downs.
You must be thinking, yeah.
Alive or dead?
Oh, alive.
How old?
Those are the original concentration.
How old?
Got to be like in his 90s.
98.
Oh, almost in the Century Club.
Yeah, you're right.
Soon to be with Kirk Douglas.
He was the host of Concentration. Yeah.
Yeah, with the old boy. Remember, 7, Hugh, 7.
Now, how old?
And 12.
How old is
12? Not a match.
How old,
that was his job.
How old is Kirk Douglas?
102.
102.
102. Maybe you remember me playing Vincent Van Gogh in Lust for Life.
Or you remember me from raping Natalie Wood when she was 15.
That's right. And then I got killed in a plane crash in harm's way.
No, but the whole thing with Natalie Wood, you know, that's the thing you're never supposed to really talk about.
Oh, did he rape Natalie Wood, or so they say? Or?
Supposedly. Yeah, she was 15, and she went to see him for a casting call, and supposedly he had his way with her.
Oh, my God. Well, maybe she was into it, maybe she wasn't, but she's 15. That's rape. So.
Or so Hollywood legend has it, and yet the Hollywood legend is pretty well believed.
Yikes.
Yeah.
And he got away with it. Maybe he had her killed. Maybe he gave her a lead bathing suit or something. Who knows? I call this one Starry Night. Someday some asshole's going to write a song about it. Lust for Life.
I got to tell you something. Natalie Wood in Rebel Without a Cause gave me my first teenage hard-on.
Hello. She was gorgeous. She was like 15 or 16 when she did it.
She was wonderful. She was just wonderful.
Oh, she was beautiful.
Yeah. Who were there any actresses that affected you that way when you were younger?
Sure. I remember my first crushes and my first boners, and I was a little kid, and one was for Shari Lewis and one was for Julie Newmar when she played Rhoda the Robot on My Living Doll. I remember just getting a hard-on for Julie and a hard-on for Shari.
Julie Newmar was a very sexy woman. Catwoman.
Yep, but she's still around. God bless her.
Is she still around?
Yep, she's in her 80s. She still looks good. She's older and has gray hair, but she's on Facebook. She posts stuff on Facebook.
Oh, I'm going to have to look her
up. Did I love her. Oh, did I love her way back when.
Now, why Shari Lewis? Shari Lewis was a puppeteer with a puppet called Lamb Chop.
Lamb Chop. I didn't like the show, and I didn't like the little faggoty, excuse that word, she didn't like the little pussified puppets. But I like the racist puppet team of Ku Klux Klan and Ollie, but that's another story. She was really pretty when she was young. When I was like 4 years old, she had this long, straight auburn hair and a pretty face. I thought she was hot.
Yeah, I don't think I ever found her sexy. But Julie Newmar, oh man,
oh God, yes, especially as Catwoman with that outfit on. But even before then,
yeah.
I just thought she was elegant and cool and just spacey enough to be a cool hippie chick. And even when I was like 4, 5, and 6, I thought she was special.
Well,
I love Julie. Later on, Barbara Eden.
I saw Natalie Wood, and I think Natalie Wood set the template for the kind of woman I found sexy for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
You know,
large doe eyes and dark hair and
dark hair. Russian.
Hello.
Well, she was Russian. You know.
A Russian Jew, I believe. Yes.
Yeah. And she was Russian, and I've always had a thing for Russian women until they grow the mustache. You know, I mean.
Yeah. They look like Olga, someone named Olga.
Hey, listen.
But nuts, yeah, she was. Some of them were super hot. Later on, they turn on you, they beat you to death while you sleep, and take your money and run back to Russia. But be careful.
Guess what? We've run out of time.
Oh no! Just really, our conversation's cooking, baby.
The one guy I can talk to about these things without.
Next week, Pinky Lee and Sandy Becker.
Yeah, and now this is all part of the Alta Caca programming we do here at Gab.
There you go. Alta Cacas, that's us.
Thank you very much, Stephen Pearl.
Thank you, Alex. It's always good to talk to you, and I'll talk to you again soon.
Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before. This is GABNET, the Great American Broadcast Network.
It certainly is, folks, and thank you very much to Stephen Pearl. We love talking to him, and we hope you enjoy listening to him as well. Our Skype lines are now open, officially open, okay? Officially, right now. You can call me, and we will put you on the air here. Okay, all right, okay. We have a thing called the Citizen Panel. If you want to find out what that's all about, go over to gabnet.net. Don't worry, you won't miss any of the video of the show because it's playing over there right now. Okay, all right. So give us a call. Give us a call. The number is, well, it's Gabnet Live if you want to use the phone, but if it's Gabnet Live if you want to use Skype, it's there's a phone number over there if you want to use the number. You know what happened to me last night while I'm waiting for people to call? And it was a problem. And it happened 2 nights in a row to me. I got off the air last night, and my nose was dripping, so I blew it. And as it did the night before, when I did the same thing, I got a giant nosebleed. I mean, I thought I was giving blood, Phil.
Is this the same nosebleed that you had the other day?
Yeah, the same one I had the night before. Apparently, you know, you get a scab over it, and it stops the bleeding, and then you probably shouldn't blow that nose for a couple of days.
Or pick at the nose hair.
No, but I didn't pick at it. I just blew my nose, and the next thing I know, I'm off to the races again. I'm holding my hand over my nose, and blood is pouring into it, and I don't usually get nosebleeds, but this is I'm sure this is just a blood vessel deal. I don't think it's like cancerous or anything. Boy, everybody's calling at the same time.
Hey, Jeff Stein.
Yeah. And here's Josh Wheeler as well. Have we got everybody on yet? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Ray Renati's calling. I got another. It's there. Boy, everybody's calling all at once. What did I do? Did I say something? Did I?
Said the lines are open.
Oh, I said the lines are open. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm in the same place as always.
Yes.
With the fans. And turn off the sound.
Yeah, turn off the sound.
I got to get my butt into the gym on a regular basis.
Yeah. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. You know.
No, I joined. I pay. I have clothes in the locker that they wash, and they've been in there for months. So that means that every day they wash them, and even though I haven't worn them, they get washed because they're in the bag.
You're doing.
Trump doesn't exercise, so you shouldn't. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
He does exercise. He plays golf.
That's not exercise, obviously.
Well, I'm not even doing that.
Yeah. But no, I go to the gym. I belonged to that gym for 3 years before I went to it, and then I started going to it every other day. But lately, I've only been going about twice a week. I get a little tired of it. I don't know why Ray doesn't get tired of it, but he's in there every day pumping away.
Well, he's
my
in the
drug
boys line.
choice.
How long do you
in front of him?
How long do you do on that bike?
Well, I've been on it for 35 minutes, and I'll probably go another 30.
Oh wow! I do 25 minutes, and that's it. 25.
And then I'll go do some pull-ups and stuff.
I like the elliptical trainer and the Pilates machine. I took a bunch of
you never use them, but you like
Pilates
them.
reformer classes. And
how many years ago?
Just before my operations. Yeah. So.
That was the time you started to work out again. Is when you found out you had prostate cancer.
Well, I was working out at that time, but I didn't know I had the heart issues. And then once I had that, I stopped the Pilates classes, and I was going to like the 5:30 in the morning one, They only have the beginner ones at certain times.
Well, you've averted death several times in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Between the prostate operation and the heart, what they do with your heart? Was it
two angioplasties, 3 stents?
Okay, and a partridge in a pear tree. So
Phil, you need to get back.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, well,
I like the reform.
I don't know. The prospects aren't that good, Phil. So what are you going to leave me?
I was telling somebody today, I feel great. I feel.
Oh well, that's a sure sign you're going to be dead any day now. Don't say that.
I actually feel 10 years younger. I made the reservations for the trip I'm taking in March. I have to stay at a hotel on March 1st, and then another hotel on March 10th when the boat gets back. The boat leaves and the boat gets back. Mm-hmm. And
when is
this?
It'd
be cool to get eaten by a shark.
How long?
No, I don't think that's very cool.
So how long are you going for?
11 days.
11 days. So there'd be 11 Phil-free days.
If there's no internet on the boat, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, it'll be a liberal safe zone.
Please don't get eaten by a shark. I was joking. I don't want that to happen.
Well, my buddy has done this trip twice before, and he's still here to talk about it.
So
it's kind of like saying break a leg.
So it's going. Yeah. It's a scuba boating tour. Is that what it is? Yeah.
Yeah. Scuba underwater photography, all sharks. 6 days of diving with all sharks, hammerheads and tigers.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, that's very nice. Don't get eaten.
Yeah.
When are you going?
I'm flying out March 1st, and I'm returning on March 11th.
Well, actually, what we can do is get a promo going so everybody knows that it's going to be a Phil-free week and a half.
Yeah, I hope so,
And if you get eaten by a shark, it'd be Phil-free forever,
Yeah, could be.
Hello to Brian. We've been joined by Brian this evening. Hi there, Bri.
Hello.
That's my nickname, Bri. How you doing, Bri?
Oh, the Ludwig Bri guy.
Didn't Jack give you some kind of name or something?
Bryster.
Separated at birth. I don't know.
Yeah. He was giving people gangster names, but they weren't really gangster.
Oh yeah. Brian, there's someone in my car, the trunk of my car, Ludwig.
No, but that's not a mobster name. Mobster names are like Brian the Cheetos Ludwig or something. You
remember that guy Steve the Ice Pick? He was
Steve the Ice Pick, another good example.
Right, Steve was the bouncer at the Condor and a friend of Conrad's. So they asked me my name, and I ripped off Steve. I said Phil the Ice Pick.
Phil the Ice Pick, yeah.
That's not a mobster name.
Yeah.
Somebody's got their audio on.
Yeah, Bree is there.
Yeah, that's me. I'm trying to turn it off. There it is. It's off.
Yeah, no, but I think Bree was trying to say something, but his mic is very weak. Are you there, Bree?
I'm here. I wasn't saying anything.
Oh, you weren't?
I do have a question for the panel.
Oh, okay. What's the question, Bree? He's in Dubai, by the way, everyone.
I went to the dentist, so I'm alive.
Oh, yeah. How did that go? Did that go good? I mean, because yesterday he was fearful of going to the dentist, but you should have seen the picture.
Did they do the root canal?
Well, let me finish asking. Can I talk and do the interview, Phil?
Okay, if you practice a little first.
Yeah. Now what was I going to say? Oh yeah, no, you showed us pictures.
It was the dental operation.
You showed us a picture of your dentist, and I don't know why you were fearful. The only thing I'd be fearful of is the Me Too movement with her around me. So how did it go?
It started off really well. I didn't even have to have Novocaine for the first part, but then it devolved into a comedy of horrors.
Was the first part where you filled out the application?
No, I did that the time before.
No. Oh, that's in the United States.
Oh, wait a minute. Let him finish the story, Phil.
All right.
But so, I guess, my main question is, I can give you the story. I think everybody will have a good laugh at my expense. But, ultimately, right now, the bottom right tooth, it's tooth number 46, it has a temporary there. But the temporary is not in the shape of a tooth. It's just like kind of a weird clump, and I don't know if that's normal or not. And it's highly sensitive, and I can't really eat on it.
You know what that is? That's a temporary cap, I think, a temporary crown they threw on there.
But shouldn't it look like Shouldn't it look like what it's going to look like?
No. Because what they do is they make a quick mold of something to put in there, so that you have some structure while they're going out and making the crown.
Oh, I see. Okay, well, let me tell you that. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead, Bree.
Okay, so I sit down, and there's no Novocaine, no nothing, and she's working on it, and then just stuff starts happening. Like a couple of times, she's kind of losing the drill, and it's hitting other teeth. And and just this the top part, not the drill part, but just not instilling.
I know. I've had that happen. It's not like she's drilling the other teeth, but in getting in there, because it's kind of close quarters, the whirring part of it hits another tooth, and you feel that. But that's not anything.
So then the other thing that happened is, one of the drill bits or something, I don't know, she needed something to be smaller, and it was supposed to have a light on it, but she didn't have it. So she was asking her neighboring dentist if she could borrow that, but it turns out that the two were not compatible. So, I'm sitting there, it's like 10, 20 minutes, and then she dropped two of her tools during the procedure, and then the dental assistant had to go and help the other dentist instead of my dentist. It's like they were sharing a dental assistant.
Yeah.
And then he came back in, and they did the molds. They have to do a mold for the top and the bottom teeth.
Yeah.
The bottom mold, they didn't get right, so they had to do it a second time. And on the second time when she pulled it out, my gold crown on the other side came out.
Oh. This was the half-off dentist?
Yeah.
No, this is the good-looking one that can supposedly get away with it because she looks so good.
So she cemented the other. She said the other crown must have been very loose,
that
this would probably have come off while I was eating in the next month or two, and I would have swallowed it. So she said it was lucky.
Oh yeah.
And then she glued it back.
Well, that's because you don't have to sift through your shit to retrieve the crown.
Yeah.
Did she charge you to glue the gold crown back on?
No.
Oh, that was. Oh, okay. Half off and a double job.
Bree, one time one of my crowns, the dentist dropped the crown in my mouth, this $800 crown, and it went like partway down my throat, and he goes, "Don't swallow!" And he like sticks his finger down my throat and pulls the crown out of my windpipe.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So things didn't go that badly, but in comparison, Bree.
That was called CPR, Ray. When they were trying to remove the foreign object, you do it. You hook your finger.
Yeah.
So Ray, it's okay that it's sensitive and it doesn't look like?
No, it shouldn't be sensitive. It's okay. It doesn't look like it. If it's sensitive, you should call them and tell them. They can fix that.
Her. Remember.
Did you get a root canal?
You might need that.
No. Okay. Well, maybe you need.
It should not be sensitive.
That's exactly what happened to my tooth back in 2010. No, 2012.
Wait a minute. And he didn't get a root canal. So what did you get? Oh, hey, we have a full house already.
I was getting a crown. Well, firstly, it was supposed to be what is called an onlay.
Inlay.
And then
onlay.
Inlay. Yeah, and then she said no. The tooth had enough microfractures that she didn't think it could support this. So she said, "Let's go with the crown." And then she gave me sensitive toothpaste, and she said, "Leave it on there for 2 or 3 minutes to let it work." and then you can brush.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I still feel a lot of the gunk.
When are you supposed to see her next?
Whenever the crown is done. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, something like that.
Well, you might call her now. You might call her now and say the tooth is sensitive, and you'd like to know if that's to be expected. All right.
Okay.
Because
for half off, you only get half the.
See,
medication.
obviously, what you have is a great fear of dentistry, and that fear is being played out in a lot of this other sense. Like, my tooth is sensitive. Well, it may be just mildly sensitive, but to you, it's a big deal.
Psychosomatic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, not psychosomatic. He really has probably a sensitivity,
Aversion.
but he's oversensitive because of his fear of the dentistry.
You're right.
And
You're right, Alex.
And quite frankly,
because when I was there and I had some of the pain going on.
Yeah.
And then she shot me up with the Novocaine, and I could still feel stuff, and I was just like, just calm down, because she's got to get this job done. And it's not going to get any better.
Well,
just bear with it for a couple of seconds.
The Novocaine does work. They didn't give you gas, though, did they?
No.
Oh, man. You're missing out on one of the few pure pleasures of life. I used to go to my dentist, and he used to get me so loaded. The first time he ever did it, he was, at that time, dentists were very hip. He says, "Want to get high?" And he gave me the gas. And he said he liked using the gas because it made the subject very compliant. In other words, they say, "Open your mouth wide," and you go, "Ah!" But I love gas. You've had gas, right, Ray? No? You've never had gas? How about you, Kevin? Have you had gas?
Never.
I've got gas right now. Excuse me. Okay. Yeah.
Never.
After
and then women started reporting getting assaulted.
None of you have had gas? How about you, Rob?
I used to sell the gas.
Couple of times for Rob. Rob's had gas. And wasn't it good, Rob?
Yeah. You can't find a dentist who'll give it to me now.
Why?
They charge extra now.
Yeah.
They want like $35 gas. $35 for the gas. But my dentist is so good that when he sticks the needle in, I don't feel it. So I don't really need the gas.
Well, look how wonderful you are.
Hey, I got good teeth.
Yeah, you got good teeth.
I used to work at a plant that had the gas.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Nitrous oxide.
Or, regular.
USP, baby.
Well, nitrous oxide,
Yep.
which is what the gas is a gas that is also used in the theater for cooling lights. Okay? And so I knew a guy in the early days who used to go around with a big blue canister of nitrous oxide and go to parties and get people high. Just here, have a whiff of this.
It's actually a teal. Yeah, it's actually color is teal. Yeah.
Yeah, teal. And
the newer lights don't need it, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, but am I right? They used nitrous oxide. Am I right, Ray?
Yeah, a long time ago.
So
but I don't see it anymore.
So when he went
they use that to make ice cream.
When he went to a gas house.
No, that's nitrogen.
Yeah, that's nitrogen. Yeah. When he went to a gas house, he would go in and say, "I work at a theater and we need it for our lights." And so they give him a big tank of the stuff, and then he'd go around to every party in town and get people high because it was really cheap. You got a whole tank of the stuff for a couple of bucks, Yes, Ludwig, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'm thinking the part of the reason, or major reason why it's not like a complimentary thing to be issued nitrous oxide when going to the dentist is because a lot of women over the years, I remember, reported being sexually assaulted and whatnot while they were put under. So maybe a liability thing. So they use that and charge that and upcharge the customer for it.
That could be too. Yes, Charles.
Well, when I had it back in the 80s, I don't remember passing out. I remember everything the dentist did.
Oh, yeah, you don't pass out.
I just felt great.
Yeah, they just regulate it.
Yeah, they don't. You don't pass out. You go into this la-la land, and you're high, and all of a sudden, you're coming down from that la-la land while, let's say, you're teeth are being cleaned and she's still working on you, because they know to turn it down or to change the mixture back to oxygen at a certain point, so that by the time you get out of the chair, you're not reeling. But my doctor would send me out loopy, and I'd go down to the garage and get my car and not know which direction was home, you know.
Yeah. When I was delivering this stuff, you don't know how many offers I got.
Well, you know,
because the speed shops also used it for their cars. They'd buy the bigger bottles,
nitrous
and
oxide.
then they would refill smaller bottles for the nitrous oxides in their cars.
Oh well, here's a little.
At one point, our plant was being monitored. We had to do inventories every day on the stuff, and there was a couple of speed shops in the Bay Area that were over ordering just a little bit too much.
Well, do you know that you can go to this day down to your local grocery store, buy some whipped cream in the can.
Yeah, whip it.
Well, forget the whippets. Well, you can get those too, but the cans, and then press it in a certain way so you don't get a mouthful of whipped cream, but you just get the air, and that's nitrous oxide, and it will get you loaded.
Yeah,
the tail end of the can. Yeah.
My brother worked at Friendly's ice cream shop.
Yeah.
And every time we'd go there when they were cleaning up, we were getting ready to go out. They used to save all the whipped cream cans that were emptied. Yeah. And we'd all do whippets in the back of Friendly's.
Well, that was where they put those whippets on the canister, right? And the milk was in it. And,
those were at the
going for the
restaurant
Tide
supply
Pods.
shops. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get a little box of about 25 of them or something.
Yeah, exactly. A whole day's worth of whipped cream at Friendly's.
You know, those were the
when
days.
You first start scuba diving, and you go down to about 90 or 100 feet. You get something called nitrogen narcosis, and that makes you feel high and so forth. You don't get it after you've experienced it once or twice.
What does that have to do with nitrous oxide? We're talking about whippets.
Well, it's nitrogen.
Anyway,
and it makes you high.
So when you talk about cheap highs, okay, way back when they had, anybody ever try morning glory seeds? What happened was morning glory seeds were hallucinogenic if you ate them. And so you would go down and you would buy 6 packs or 8 packs of morning glory seeds. And then you'd try it. It tasted terrible, and it really wasn't a pleasant way to consume. What's that noise?
Morning glory seeds.
Yeah.
Me eating some.
It was, but you would somehow figure out a way to consume them. One of the ways we did was we ground them up and then put them in little capsules and thought we could do it that way, But anyway, you got it into, and after a while, then you threw up from the morning glory seeds. But after that, you were high as a kite. You were hallucinating and everything. So now the seed company, I can't remember, the Burpee Seed Company, whoever the seed company was that had morning glory seeds, it was Heavenly Blue morning glory seeds, not just any morning glory seeds, but Heavenly Blue. They finally started putting poison on the seeds because they knew everybody was using them to get high. So
they'd rather kill them?
Yeah. It's a Trump solution to a problem. Let's put it that way.
I knew a guy that loved peyote. He ddid the same thing. Peyote did the same thing. You'd launch a bunch of peyote and then get a buzz like hell after it.
Yeah. Oh, peyote.
Why the hell do you do that? He'd launch the shit and then just get a buzz for the rest of the day. This is great.
They were peyote buttons, and people would get nauseous. So I just went to I just went straight to LSD and said to hell with it,
Yeah, you save all that.
And had some fine trips for a while, So,
No, I remember when we used to deliver the nitrous. Usually about 2 or 3 days after, we'd get phone calls at the plant. We've got this big cylinder in our front lawn. We need to get picked up. And it was usually somewhere in Berkeley. And it was on somebody's front lawn. And there was a Dead concert, usually about a day before or two. We'd go over there and pick it up off their lawn.
Yeah. Well, actually, it was a drug that couldn't hurt you. You know.
No, you would just, if you did too much of it, you just asphyxiate yourself. But
well, no, you had to make sure you took in. You know what happens when you go to the dentist? There's a mixture of the nitrous oxide and oxygen.
It was an air oxygen mix.
And people had a tendency with this stuff to just take a mask full of pure nitrous oxide.
Yeah.
And because they were breathing that more than they were breathing oxygen, they could asphyxiate themselves.
Correct.
So nitrous oxide sounds like it's nitrogen and oxygen, which is basically what air is. It's 21% oxygen, 79% nitrogen.
Who died and made you the scientist around here?
I'm a scuba diver. Come on.
That's what it is. Yeah.
All right. Well, next time you go scuba diving, instead of putting an oxygen tank on your back, put a nitrous oxide tank on your back.
And just go down to 100 feet. You'll get the you'll get the high.
Charlie?
Yeah, in air you have nitrogen gas and you have oxygen gas. Nitrous oxide is a chemical combination of the two. Air is not a chemical combination.
Well,
correct.
But it sounds like nitrogen and oxygen.
Well, that's what it sounds like. But Charlie is telling you what it is. Charlie obviously has some expertise in this field, right, Charlie?
A little.
Yeah.
All right.
So, yeah. What the hell? An
oxidizer.
Oh, yeah.
Alex.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, isn't that what Kevorkian used on his patients?
What?
Nitrous oxide.
No, I don't think so. No. What did he use, though?
I can't remember what he used. It was nasty stuff.
Yeah.
But it put him to sleep, and it was harmless.
It was a chemical, wasn't it? An ingested chemical, I thought.
I don't know.
It was a pill.
Remember.
Listen, we got a little problem now. Once again, Neil deGrasse Tyson has been busted.
Oh, of course.
Oh, something new, huh?
Misconduct with a fourth woman who says the star scientist sexually harassed her at a party, or harassed her. That's the way you pronounce it, actually. Brian, forgive me for being the verbiage police.
You're forgiven.
He harassed her at a party in 2010. Shouldn't there be a cutoff date for this shit? I mean, do you realize 2010 sounds like just a little while ago, but that was actually 8 years ago. You know? And nobody made up the rules of conduct at that point. And, what she may have taken as harassment may have just been him going, hey, you're good looking. I'd like to go out with you. Would you like to have dinner sometime? Or want to come back to my place? Or whatever. Anyway, the woman who remains anonymous, that's the other part that bothers me, because then they can say anything they want to. Described the incident in a BuzzFeed news report published Wednesday. Also includes accounts by Tyson's 3 previous accusers. According to BuzzFeed, the unnamed woman said Tyson drunkenly approached her at a holiday party at the American Museum of Natural History and made sexually charged jokes, asking her to join him alone in his office. Yeah. BuzzFeed reports the woman also shared a 2014 email she wrote to her employer describing the incident in order to discourage the employer from inviting Tyson to speak at an event. Now, let me get this straight, okay? And I'm not here to defend Tyson's behavior. I think you should always act decently towards other people and not make them feel uncomfortable. But all this amounts to is him telling some dirty jokes and inviting the woman back to his office, which she didn't do. Now, does that sound like harassment to you? Does that sound like he touched my pussy? We didn't even see that in here.
It sounds to me like he's more than qualified to run for president of the United States now.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't see him say something like, I want to enter your black hole. So, I mean.
Or Uranus.
Or go to Uranus, right?
My Hubble telescope is curious in exploring your black hole. Will you let it?
But anyway, the point is, come on. Plus, this guy does so much good in making people understand about the universe. Come on.
Hey, Alex, enlighten us on how syphilis may have originated in the Americas, right?
So,
Jesus.
So what you're saying is that You're saying that he's doing a really good job, so we can't impeach him now, right?
What?
You're saying that Neil deGrasse Tyson does a really good job, so we can't impeach him now. I mean, we can't fire a guy who's doing a really good job.
No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying that at all. But I just think that, does this sound like what you would call a horribly offensive incident this woman went through? And shame on BuzzFeed for even making a big deal out of it, you know?
Yeah, they're just trying to cover up their mistake that they made with Trump and Cohen.
No, they probably didn't make a mistake with Trump and Cohen. It's just they couldn't prove it.
Your god Mueller says they did.
No. Don't take it too much out of context. He has a problem with something that they said. He didn't say the whole thing was bogus.
I guess it's a liberal prayer. All right.
Well, by the way, Phil, just for grins, how do you feel about the fact that Trump caved to Nancy Pelosi?
It's not over yet. And, he hasn't signed it. He could be testing the waters. It's called
wait a minute. No, Phil. You don't even know what we're referring to.
Yeah, they put the vote up and...
No, that isn't what we're referring to. Tell them what we're referring to, Rob.
Yeah, it was 55
No. That's not what we're talking about.
That's not what we're talking about,
Phil. We're talking about the State of the Union address.
Oh.
The speech.
Yeah, well, I could understand Pelosi not wanting to stand behind Trump and have to grimace the whole time.
Phil, I asked you a very literal question about something which would compromise your beliefs. Hold on a second. This man, who you hold in high esteem because he never gives up and he pushes ahead, just got one-upped by Nancy Pelosi.
Well, this is what the pundits are saying, but it isn't done until it's done. And
it's done. He says he's not going to do the. You didn't hear this? He said he's not going to do the State of the Union address.
That's a battle that you don't need to fight. What's the difference?
Well, but he was fighting it until yesterday.
Yeah,
and then he finally said. Then he finally said. Wait a minute. Let me finish. He finally said, I'll wait for the government shutdown to be over with to give the speech. And then today he said Nancy Pelosi was very wise in her decision.
Well, he might have had a reason. Maybe they were holding his kid hostage.
By the way, Phil, those votes today that failed. Yeah, do you know that more Republicans crossed over and voted for the Democratic?
I know that it wasn't enough. I don't think there was enough votes to pass.
Not enough votes, but given the two different, the Republican and the Democratic options, more Republicans crossed over and voted for the Democratic option versus how many
Democrats they crossed over to the Republican option?
The numbers were minuscule compared to
one. Yeah, it was Manchin, I think.
No. Yeah, he's West Virginia, right?
Yeah.
So he had no choice.
Yeah.
He wants coal.
Yeah.
It's clean.
If
AOC. It's funny to me. I mean, but all I'm saying is, Phil, Pelosi won this one.
Oh yeah.
Possibly, yeah.
No, not possibly. Yeah, she did. Phil, she won this one.
It's not over yet.
What do you mean it's not over?
Oh, it's over.
That's over.
He also said that he was going to sign the bill originally, and then when it came to him, he didn't sign it.
You know why?
Yeah, because he just you're going to say it's because pundits and Republican talk show hosts.
That's correct.
Him out of it.
The Coulter went on Fox and said it would be terrible if he did this.
Anti-Trump right now.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but still,
even Michael Savage wasn't happy with him. I don't know. There may be a reason why he's doing it.
So what's going
He'll
on
do
with
the State of the
Kellyanne
Union
Conway?
once the shutdown is done.
What's going on with Kellyanne Conway? She's still
What's
looking.
all these secrets of Kellyanne Conway's success, and supposedly she's been a leaker in the Trump administration. She's been one of the leakers.
I have no idea. You know, they say a lot of things about a lot of people. And maybe it was pillow talk with her and George.
Boy, I love how you parse this whole thing, Phil. You just want
Well,
to.
hey, you know,
you just want to. You just
you're
really
going to parse it the way you want to parse it.
No, I'm not parsing it. I'm parsing it exactly
think
as it is
Trump won the
reported.
battle.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. He didn't win any battle. He didn't win.
Nancy Pelosi isn't at Davos.
No, wait. What?
She's not at Davos right now. She had to get off the plane.
No, that was all part of their little pissing match going on. But she won the pissing match, Phil. He gave in. He caved. He caved, Phil. He caved. He caved. He said first he was saying yesterday, "I'm going to show up at Congress and give the speech anyway." Didn't he say that, people, in his tweets? And then wait a minute.
Yeah, but he can give it to the Senate.
Wait a minute.
No,
he can't. No, he can't.
He mentioned potentially going to see the Senate.
Yeah, but he was looking for other ways to do it. And then finally, last night, he said, "I've decided that I'm not going to go until the government shutdown is over with," and so he basically caved in to Pelosi.
Well, that's the way
during
you
that
see
hour
it.
and a half.
No, that's no way. That's not the way I see it.
As a man that wants to negotiate, and I see that the left refuses to negotiate. They refuse to come to the table, and they are the ones that are holding the government hostage.
Phil, shut your pie hole. Jeez,
hey,
almighty.
You can't take the truth.
Phil, you can't take the truth. You can't take the fact that your little hero caved.
You know, that little rebut sounded like you're a poo-poo head.
That's just one pussy Trump can't grab.
I'm not
it's one pussy he doesn't want to grab. There's spider webs across that one.
Oh yeah, you're going to make fun of her vagina, huh, Phil?
Yeah, me too.
Make fun of his tiny dick, his tiny hands.
Yeah, with his tiny dick and his tiny hands. Yeah. Well, we all know Trump has a tiny dick because that's what. What's her name?
Mushroom shaped too. Yeah,
mushroom shaped.
So
yeah, but he banged her, and we didn't.
Barely.
Yeah, and so.
And the Playboy Bunny.
So.
Oh,
CNN has
a. And their
Wait a minute,
and their appearances are brought to you by the makers of money.
Charlie.
Money turns
Charlie
Jabba the Hutt into Fabio.
Charlie Wallace.
Yeah, actually, he can't go to the Senate either because Nancy Pelosi, as Speaker of the House, controls the Sergeant of Arms, and she can refuse to let him into the Capitol at all.
Why can't he do it from the White House?
He can do it from the White House. She said he could.
Yeah,
because Trump, he's a limelight guy.
What does he need half of the
what does he need it for, Phil? Phil, what does he need it for? This is he needs it. What he needs it for is that this is his limelight. His ego wants to be there at the Capitol, giving the State of the Union address.
I think his ego would be better served doing it from the White House and going after the blockage people.
That would show weakness. No president has done that. That would show weakness, like he lost. This way he conceded, and he did it in a very diplomatic presidential way because he didn't write the tweet. But what they did was they chose the best out they could, because if they would have given that speech at a rally or from the Oval or any place else, it would have looked like he was weak and that he lost to Nancy. This way, he agreed with her. He actually agreed in the tweet with her. That was the only way he can get around it.
Today, he said something nice about her.
He had to.
Yeah. So talk about caving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hey, we'll see how this turns out. Just like BuzzFeed, I think you're jumping to conclusions.
No, we're not jumping to conclusions. This is the news. This was his tweet. This is what he said.
Wait till tomorrow.
This is what he said.
It's the way you parse it.
No, we did. Go back and watch it, Phil. Go back and watch it.
I heard it.
He's trying to bring his disapproval rating back down to 63 instead of 64.
Hey, Alex.
Well, well, I think maybe his disapproval rating went up because there's a lot of Republicans that aren't happy with his position. But he may have he may have a different take on it. I mean, the guy is different.
He doesn't have a take on anything. The man is so clueless, it's ridiculous. Okay,
we'll see.
Did you hear the shit that they were talking about? These people going to the pantries today, and Wilbur Ross is telling them.
Yeah, well, I was going to talk about Wilbur Ross,
that
makes sense.
Commerce
Department
says, "Well, just go to the grocery store. They don't make you pay.
No,
they'll let you go."
This is a multi-millionaire who. Wait a minute, this is a multi-millionaire. Listen to me, Phil. This is a multi-millionaire who was telling these people that they should go get a loan.
I guess he knows how to save money, not like the people that are living.
They don't have money.
They don't have money to save, Phil.
But they could have money.
You just
When you
danced
put
on
on a
eggshells,
loan
Phil.
application,
Hey, Wilbur
it says,
Ross.
how much can you pay per month, and you don't have a zero there because you didn't get paid.
Wilbur Ross told them that it would be like a federally guaranteed loan. They could go to the Federal Credit Union. They could get a loan. They would be on the hook for some interest, but they could get a loan.
They'd be on the hook for some interest? They'd be on the hook for some interest. Are you listening to yourself, Phil? Are you listening to yourself, Phil?
In the name box, yeah, maybe, but not.
Are you listening to yourself,
when you
Phil?
work for the federal government, you have an you can borrow from the
Are
you
you crazy? Are you nuts? Are you dreaming?
And you got to
la
pay
la
interest
land?
on that money. Is the government going to pay?
As soon as the thing is
You know
over.
what I hate are people like these millionaires and Phil who somehow think that people who are living from paycheck to paycheck, not because they're wasting money, but because they're spending it and need it, that these people somehow didn't save enough money. They should have saved for a rainy day.
Yeah,
exactly.
They've had a lifetime to do it.
Yeah,
and they know that the government gets shut down.
Phil, can you do that?
often.
Can you do that on $35,000 a year?
Yeah, you can save $350 or 5% of your income, and if there's a shutdown, eventually it'll get replaced.
Phil, you live in a dream world. I
lost 45% of my income when I got laid off. I can't do it.
Yeah, but you're not getting a check as soon as the government opens back up. You're not getting a check for all your back pay.
I'm getting a check every month, and I'm having a hard time getting from month to month.
Phil, back pay doesn't do you much good. Back pay doesn't do you much good when your stomach is grumbling and you can't buy food now.
You can go to the Federal Credit Union,
and pay with,
and when the back pay comes, you pay off the loan
with interest.
With interest.
With interest.
How much interest? Interest is what? 3%, 4% now?
What do you
But
mean?
are they processing
Interest is
federal
interest.
loans right now? Are they going to work to process those loans?
Interest rates are like
the credit unions. I don't think that those guys are furloughed.
Oh yeah, the interest is 7.5%.
Yeah, that's a 7 or 8.
Yeah, so that's a 0.5% a month. Or a little over 0.5% a month.
Phil, why should these
You kidding
people?
me?
Why should these people? Because they're not getting paid the money they were told they were going to get paid. Have to go get a loan from the very people who owe them the money and then pay them interest. Isn't that rather
reality?
Isn't that bullshit? No, it's not. It's not reality, Phil.
No, it's not fair. Life isn't fair. Oh, my liberal heart. Life's not fair.
Billionaires are trying to 70% tax rate.
Already.
Saying things are.
Life's not fair.
I got a question, Phil. Have you been blowing Wilbur Ross?
Life's not fair when
when
it comes to health. Life's not fair. People get diseases. Shit happens.
Nothing's fair.
This is completely avoidable if you had a president with a little bit of a
if life
of a
was
heart.
fair, I'd be 6'2", 180 pounds, and a 9-inch schlong. But it's not that way.
Well, then you'd be if you did that. If you did that, wait a minute. If he did,
deciding whether to pay rent
if
or
you did
take
that, Phil,
chemotherapy is not fair.
And that's the
if you did that, Phil, I can't even say anything here.
What?
Phil, did you ever go broke?
Yeah.
So how'd you?
I did what I had to do.
Did you have enough money saved up,
sold
Phil?
some shit.
Did you have some
I
money?
sold shit. I did whatever I had to do what I had to do.
Whose fault was it that you went broke? Was it your own fault?
Everything, when it boils
Well,
right down to
no.
it, yes,
Was it the government that made you go broke?
I believe that it's always your own fault when something happens.
Oh, please.
But when you work for the government and you know that there are shutdowns and that your job is in jeopardy of being affected by shutdowns, you put some money aside. That's just the way it is.
When you know there's shutdowns, you mean you go to work for the government knowing there's going to be a shutdown?
Yes, and it's happened before, and it's happened often enough to know that you got to have a rainy day fund.
When did the shutdown start?
About 20 years ago.
20 years ago.
About 20 years ago. Before that, it was a good, solid job to have.
Well, life is not static.
Okay.
You know,
things happen because the laws were changed by the Republicans. So
it used to. Oh, the Republicans.
There's the answer. There's the answer.
Let Charlie make his point. Let Phil shut up and let Charlie make it. Let Charlie
dealing today.
Phil, you can't make your point by trying to talk over somebody. All right, and Charlie was saying something, and then Jeff wants to say something.
Well, you usually make your point by talking over me.
Because I can't shut you up long enough to make it. Go ahead, Charlie.
Yeah, before 20 years ago, you could not have a government shutdown. The government had to pay its bills.
Hey, 20 years ago, I had a 30-inch waist. You know, it's nothing is static. Life has changed. And if you haven't figured out in the last 20 years of your career that there are government shutdowns, shame on you.
We have a royal flush. Who just called us on the phone?
Must be Tim.
It's me, Tony. Can I say one thing to Alex? You're right, Alex, with his loans.
Hey, you kissing more ass, Tony?
No, you know why? Why should they pay interest like Alex? You better go to a gangster. Come on, Phil.
Yeah, 7.5%. 7.5% is like going to a gangster. No, all of a sudden, 7.5% is a little over 0.5% a month. 0.5% a month. Somebody borrows $5,000, $10,000 for 2 months or 3 months. It's only going to cost them about what, $75?
But Phil, it shouldn't have to cost them anything. It shouldn't
the
have
way
to.
You spend money, Phil, it doesn't matter. You're right.
As a matter of fact,
you've got a lot of money and you spend it.
As a matter of fact,
it's not a big deal.
Let me jump in here.
I don't.
Wait a minute. The government, the government, besides being on the hook for the rest for the money they owe them from the time they were not getting paid, should have to pay interest on that money to the people.
Maybe they do.
No, they don't.
No, they don't.
No. Well, these
here it goes.
government workers have been on the public dole long enough. Now to get to feel
that's enough, Phil. That's enough, Phil. That's enough, Phil. Jeff's got his hand up, Phil. Jeff's got his hand up. Jeff's got his hand up. Jeff's got his hand up. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, Jeff.
I think, Phil, you got a mistake. You assume that these problems are from these people who are work for the government, are most of them still working there, and they're not getting any money. And you're thinking that it's their problem. It's Trump's problem.
No,
He's the guy who came up. Wait a minute. He's the one who came up with this idea.
That's victim thinking.
No, I heard him say when he was in his office that he was going to take the
heat for it.
He was going to take
Proud.
Well, he's not, though. He's not.
Well, yes, he is.
No, he's not.
He
The
is.
buck stops with everyone.
He caved to Nancy Pelosi because he
buck
wants
stops
to
with
end this.
everyone. I love that line. The buck stops with everyone.
Yeah, that's what he said.
It sounds like the liberal victim mentality here.
He's the one who always says that he's the
it's
victim.
the Republicans.
Phil, quit talking over me. He's the one who said he's the victim all the time. He's always saying he's a victim. Oh, the fake press, the bullshit news, they're making me the victim. He's saying that constantly, Phil. Constantly. Yeah. And you know it.
Well, he is the victim.
Oh, give me a fucking break. All right, I'm done.
Blind loyalty.
I love you too, Phil.
It's so cultish.
What's that?
Oh God, is it ever?
The way you sound, the blind loyalty. You can't, with everything that's happened in 2 years, the way the news cycle changes every 15 minutes. A thing, if it would have been a Democrat, forget about it. They'd have blown up.
See,
the
I
whole-
believe that
Hold
he's
on, I'm not done yet.
Oh, okay.
You have blind loyalty to all of it. There isn't one thing where you go, oh, well, that's no. It's blind loyalty. It sounds cultish.
Well, he's under attack from the left, and when you're under attack, the left is the enemy.
He's
starting to become
he's the right.
He's starting to come under attack from his own right wing.
Yeah, well, because his own right wing is part of the swamp.
Oh, jeez.
The swamp is what's in the White House.
Yeah.
News for you.
Yeah. You know, that's
Now,
easy for you to say because you want to blame somebody.
I just love the fact that his attorney, his fixer, who they know each other so well, is now threatening like the Godfather when Pantangelo was in the courtroom and he brought his brother in there because he was going to testify against the mob boss, and he starts saying, "It's the same
all of a
shitty
sudden,
family."
It's true. It's like a crime.
All of a sudden, Cohen is so trustworthy that you believe everything he says.
I believe him.
No, Phil. But I would like to hear what he has to say.
And what he has to say is a lie. Everything that comes out of his mouth is a lie.
He doesn't
blame
believe
them
any
all.
of it. It's amazing. Yeah.
Bree
I
is
blame
right.
them all.
Yeah, but you know it does no good to blame. It just does good to you. You pull up your boots and you do what you got to do.
Wait a minute. And Trump is the most honorable person in the room. Am I right?
He's just as honorable as the rest of them.
No, that's not an answer, Phil.
You know, I have the answer to stop this thing immediately. That he does. I think if he could write a what are those things he writes and then signs in the fancy book?
Resolution.
Resolution. Right. The resolution should be that if the government shuts down, that none of the Senate or the House gets paid. That checks will stop and benefits.
I agree with you more there.
Medical benefits.
Of course.
That
would be great.
Yeah.
You'll never do that.
And then you'd
Some
never
of them
see a
have
shutdown.
voluntarily done.
Well,
that
I don't
already.
think that the medical benefits for the workers who are not working right now are being stopped.
Not yet.
No, but they should be stopped for the Congress. You know,
some of them have voluntarily done that.
And how many of them are Republicans?
Yeah.
I know Trump is voluntarily.
Yeah. Okay.
I've seen a few of them questioned.
Okay. Wait a minute, Jeff. Let Jeff talk.
If you're an employee of the government and you have a limited amount of money you get, and you happen to pay for certain pills or medications, they can be very expensive.
Yes, they can.
More expensive than a lot of these people can
How
afford.
much do you think a government employee pays for his pills? Do you think they pay less than most people?
No.
That they got better insurance than all of us?
No, they don't.
I don't know. Do you
I
know
know
that?
I know the Senate and
No,
the Congress
you know
does.
that.
I know the Senate and the Congress.
Well,
does.
tell us what their plan is, Phil.
We're not talking about
Kaiser.
Tell us what their plan is, Phil. You seem to be so knowledgeable about what the Congress gets in their health
From what I
plan.
understand, is their health care is paid 100%, and you know, and they, you know, and
What about
also
dental?
I don't know.
There is no dental for
I
anybody.
did see
Only in Dubai.
I did see a government lady interviewed today or yesterday that was deciding whether she's going to be paying her rent or continuing with her chemotherapy.
Well, if she doesn't continue with the chemotherapy, she's not going to have to worry about the rent.
My mother is a member. My mother is a member of the APWU.
Tell that to her face. Say that to her face.
Say that right to
Say
her.
that to
Yeah.
her family.
Yeah. All right.
Family.
What happens?
Tell her to tune in.
Say that to my mother. That were my mother. Guarantee you wouldn't be leaving the house.
Well, there's no choice for her but to do the chemotherapy, and you know. But the thing is, she
sit on
could
the
get
street,
a loan.
right? Yeah, go sit on the bus stop and wait for chemotherapy, right?
No, she could get a loan, just like Wilbur Ross said.
Okay, hold on a second. Hold on a second.
Simplistic answers.
Hold on a second. As members of Congress debate whether to repeal or replace the Affordable Care Act, seems fair to ask, how much do they pay for health care? The answer is that they don't pay nothing for coverage, but they don't pay much. As the myth-busting website Snopes points out, contrary to popular belief, congressional members do not receive free health care. Instead, they choose a gold-level Obamacare policy and receive federal subsidies to cover 72% of the cost of the premiums.
Jeez.
Okay?
That's a good deal.
Well, it's a good deal, but it's a way of paying for it, but it isn't 100%. You know,
how many of them are over 65?
Not even
just
an 80%.
Medicare.
It's not even an 80%.
My mother is a federal employee. She has the APWU, the American Postal Workers. She pays every month for it. She has co-pays, all that stuff, just like everybody else.
I don't think the Senate and House, they don't have co-pays. They don't have deductibles. They have to pay 28% of the premiums, but they pay nothing after that. We have to pay a certain percentage of the premiums, and we have co-pays and deductibles.
Yeah. Right.
Hallelujah, Charlie.
And you're saying, what about the ones that have Medicare? I think the ones that have Medicare, their congressional health plan pays the overage, pays the does the
difference.
The difference, yeah. But because
they got it pretty good, and in the private sector, there's plenty of times that you can't cash your paycheck, you can't get a paycheck.
They got it pretty good. Phil, do you know
cover the bill? If you look at it,
never
that's
happened
kind
to
of
me.
the way Trump is.
You've never been an employer.
Just like a freaking corporation. He's almost on strike. He's almost treating this just like a corporation, like he's always treated the government since he's been there. And it's almost like he's gone on strike.
Well, a lot of people go on strike. Why can't he?
Yeah,
you
well,
got the
this isn't
teachers
the
union in L.A.
This isn't his corporation. This
Wait
is
a minute. Hold on a second. Just one moment. And I'll let you come back here and finish what you were saying, Kevin. Phil, don't bring up the teacher strike in L.A. in this discussion. That's a whataboutism, and it just completely throws the whole conversation off.
So you're saying that you don't
it
want
throws
any bargaining,
the whole
that the bargaining
conversation.
is all one-sided.
I say that I say I'm with the teachers in L.A. Those classrooms are overcrowded, and they need relief from that. They're not suing for more money, Phil. They're suing for smaller classrooms, and that benefits you and me if we have kids.
They're also suing for more money.
Yeah, that's
Bill, they're reaching into their pockets to buy supplies. I have friends who are teachers, and these are Long Island teachers who have, the school districts have more money. And every year they're buying their own supplies for the classroom. And then they ask the kids.
My ex-girlfriend.
To bring stuff.
My ex-girlfriend. Wait a minute, hold on a second.
Huge surplus right now.
Wait a minute.
A huge surplus.
My ex-girlfriend, just a moment, Bree, and then we'll go to you. My ex-girlfriend was a teacher, and we used to go to San Rafael, where she would go from teacher bookstore to teacher bookstore, asking them if they had any cast-offs that she could have so she could take them back to her classes where she worked in Richmond. They did not have enough money for books, and as a matter of fact, back in those days, they had one computer in the whole school, and it got stolen by one of the janitors. It was terrible. Just terrible. So
I've got a 13-year-old in the next room that I can tell you all kinds of stories about bringing supplies to schools.
Really? Tell me about it. Tell us about it.
I tell you all about it.
Go ahead.
I'm bringing handy wipes. I'm bringing Clorox wipes. I'm bringing pencils, bags of paper, just to keep them going. And I'm not the only one.
Well, hey, I had
everybody
two kids.
I know.
No, forget about you and your two kids. Phil, be quiet for a second. Be quiet for a second, okay? And let these other people tell their experiences. We know you've lived every life experience there is, and you have a comment on every one of them. But
of course,
go back.
Kevin's
running the place like a corporation is what I was getting at.
Yeah. Well, his idea of running the United States like a corporation is that you burn it down and then collect the insurance. Jeff, you had your hand. Did I see your hand up, Jeff?
No.
Okay.
Alex.
Yes, Bree.
All right. Here's my question. I sort of lost, following the story, but the one thing that I heard was that the House had said, okay, $5.7 billion for border security. We approve it, but not for the wall. And so it doesn't it seem like we could just give the border security people the money and let them figure out how they want to do it?
Yeah.
They're the ones down there. Can't we hear from them? Can't
Well,
we bring in a committee and say, okay, look, government shutdown over. Here's the 5.7 for border security, and let the people who do the border security figure out how to spend it.
Yeah.
They offered them $25 billion like 6-8 months ago. $25 billion for border security. Signed off. The president was going to sign off on it until Rush Limbaugh didn't like it, and so he wouldn't sign it.
He wants the wall.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Because 35
here's
years
where
from
the
now,
Democrats
we
are
can fly over the
absolutely
top of
right.
it.
They want to give the money to border security because most people agree the wall is an antiquated idea that goes along, as somebody said, with moats and crocodiles, okay? And that it is not an answer for today's problem. And this money could be better used to be put towards technology, towards reinforcing the troops, the people that are down there guarding the borders and the checkpoints and all of that. And you're right. They should be the ones who spend the money because they know where it can be spent and where it can be spent effectively. But, you know, a wall.
No, they don't.
They don't.
A wall is as old-fashioned as Trump's concept that oil is going to save this country. Okay?
Coal.
Yeah, coal, rather. Kevin.
And all it is a symbol of Trump. If you go back to the documentary, remember that documentary, he used to like to fly over New York and look out the window and say, look at that building, look at that building, look at that building. Now in 10 years, he can get into his little helicopter and fly over and go, look at my wall. I did that. Look at my wall. That's all it is. It's a symbol of Trump.
Exactly.
I believe that's all it is.
Okay, Phil, now you can say something.
Well,
maybe he can sign it and put his big gold numbers on it.
Yeah.
You know, he's asking to build 115 miles of wall this year that are in strategic areas. He's not looking for a wall that
That's
goes
a downgrade,
from sea to
Phil.
shining
That's a
sea.
downgrade from what he said he was going to do.
Well, 237 miles.
Well, the 5.7 I think only gets him 115 miles. Now there's
the
another,
5.7 is not going to get him
amount
any
that-
wall. Is not going to get him any wall. It's going to go towards border security.
Well, we'll see.
what it
We'll
should
see
be.
about that.
What
You
do you
know,
will see?
and I agree.
I'll bet
that
on
they,
Pelosi.
I'll bet on. Yeah, I'm betting on Pelosi too.
You know, they need drones. They need all of those things. But how can you stop people with drones? What are you going to do? Shoot them down? You know, like they do in Iraq and
No, you
Iran,
can see them
and
coming.
send these
You can see them
drones in?
coming. By the way, here's everybody ready for a big laugh. Do you remember the caravan, that big caravan that was coming to
Yeah.
the United States that never quite got here? Okay,
700 people.
Wait a minute, 700. It started out at 8,000 or something like that. When it got here, it had petered out to almost nothing. Then he said there was a second caravan. Now, do you remember the second caravan? When was that?
Never saw it.
Never saw it. And now he says, looky. It's like, chicken licking, the sky is falling in. Another caravan is coming now. We've got to be ready to protect against that. But we haven't seen the other two.
You don't understand.
They're
They
using
would-
those shots from Caracas, Venezuela as the film.
They would dodge caravans.
By the way,
there you go.
Oh,
by the way, the only
the minivan invasion.
I have to hand it.
Soccer moms.
Look, a stop clock is right twice a day. He has taken, I think, a fairly decent stance on the Maduro situation down in Venezuela.
Yeah.
Okay,
And that country is where your democratic socialism has destroyed it in 10 years.
No,
Where
what
for the
no,
last
That's
60
not
years.
democratic socialism.
it is not democratic socialism, Phil.
Oh, what is it? Communism?
No, it's Maduro. It's basically
It's a
autocrats.
dictator
It's an
socialism.
It's been 10
autocracy.
years that they destroyed.
It's an
their
autocracy,
economy.
Phil. It's an autocracy.
They're eating zoo animals. You
Phil,
know?
we
How
know
come
that.
y'all never talk about Denmark or Norway or Sweden, where they have great results from democratic socialism.
Yeah, they got about 4 people, and it's so cold there that they wouldn't go out.
Yeah, that's your excuse. Well, there are about 4 people in Venezuela, too, okay? The point is, he's absolutely right. There's democratic socialism all over the world that works just fine. What's going on in Venezuela never was democratic, all right? Far from it.
Until they run out of the workers' money.
Far from it. Let's see here. Who's calling now? I don't know if we have room for anybody else.
Oh, Alex, I'm going to check on my mom.
Oh, okay. Go check on your mom, Tony. Thanks for calling.
Good night. Yes.
Who is calling us right now? Who's this?
Hey, this is Jack Bishop. I couldn't Skype you because there's something wrong with my personal Skype.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Hey, I heard you guys talking about the wall again. There were photos out of South Texas today of the wall that's already there. And people on the other side of the border said, hey, no problem. They got out their ladders and they went right over it.
All right, Jack, you look at Juarez and Nogales, and on the side of the border, the U.S. side of the border, it's pretty peaceful. But if you look at the Mexican side of the border, where there's a wall, they're killing each other. There's thousands
All right, Phil, let's do something about that. Let's do something about
it. Jack is too loud. Jack is too loud.
Let me back away. Phil, how big a military do we have?
It's not the military that's down there.
How big? Answer the question, or walk away.
It's big.
All right. Then let's go take over the damn country. Let's go take over the damn country and police it.
Well, look what they
Let's
did
be
to us last
bolder
time.
than we've ever. If that's a real problem to you, you should be for that. As a former police officer, you should be for that.
It's fine on our side of the border. The problem is on the Mexican side of the border, and it's the wall. It's the wall that keeps them out.
Maybe it's the wall.
Let's do something bolder and more dynamic.
Hold on a second,
Let's do
Jack.
something that shows what we're really made of.
Jack, calm down a second. We don't want you to have a cardiac now. Yeah,
but
wait
a minute. Get it over with.
But Jack, maybe it's the wall that's made things so bad on that side of the other side of the border.
No, what's really made things so bad has been the invasionary trade policies of the United States.
When it is cheaper, all our jobs down there?
When it is cheaper for them to import corn into Central America than to grow it there, we got a real problem. I want to send guys like you down there with a sack full of American money to build businesses to counter the Chinese. We need to grow our own low-wage, low-export country to help us.
You know what
Let's
Mexico
be dynamic.
pays their workers?
We can pay them 20 and still be ahead of the game in comparison to the kind of money we're talking about.
Yeah, but you don't want to pay.
Wait a minute, Jack.
Why are you
Jack,
you're too cheap. You don't want to pay for your Chevrolet. You don't want to. You don't want it to cost anything.
No, but I'm willing to pay for a Chevrolet that goes to Japan that was built in Mexico.
But they don't take them because Japan
let's find a way to. No, let's pay the goddamn tariffs. Let's be more dynamic than we've ever been. You know, the Japanese were doing that in the 60s and 70s.
Well,
we know that.
That worked in Venezuela, too, yeah.
Look, Phil, that's bullshit. And you know it's bullshit, and I know it's bullshit, and I will not let you get away with bullshit tonight.
Okay, stop a second, all of you. Because Josh Wheeler hasn't said almost anything tonight. Do you have any skin in this game, Josh?
As far as the law goes, you mean?
Yeah.
I'm not in favor of one, and I certainly don't think that we should spend billions upon billions of dollars on one. I mean, I see that as a waste of money.
But is it a waste of money? Is it a waste of money to have say $5.7 billion go to security, to border security?
On items other than a wall, I would say it would be perfectly fine, but I don't know that I would spend billions of dollars just on a physical barrier. I mean, because I do believe that that's not gonna stop the problem, and that's only if you can see that there is actually a problem. I mean, I don't know. As I sit here and talk to you guys, I guess I don't live in this fear that there's a Mexican lurking outside my door waiting to break in and, rape and kill me. I mean, I don't see it as that big of an issue. I mean, I have to be honest with you. I work with some of the most lazy, stupid fucking white people I've ever met in my entire life. And get paid $100,000 a year, and I tell them every day, if it were up to me, I'd replace you with a Mexican tomorrow because he'd outwork your ass for half the money. So fucking bring him. I mean,
touche, mon ami. I agree.
Absolutely.
I
don't really
the
see it as that
Mexicans are
big of an issue.
hardworking people. They're very hardworking people, and I would rather have them come in than not. But I want to have them vet what is coming in, and and also give a fair shake to people in other countries that have waited to get in, rather than those that are going to storm our borders and not deal with the rule of law.
But nobody has.
When you start looking at the numbers, Phil, who's really storming our borders are Europeans
and Canadians
coming in through Canada.
Yeah,
legitimately.
No,
not legitimately.
I don't have a problem with anything Phil said there, but I don't see how a wall accomplishes that goal. I mean, if you do, then you do. But I'm sorry, but I don't.
I saw hordes of people through the night vision of the Border Patrol, and there were hordes.
How many? How many, Phil?
Hundreds a night.
A night?
Yeah. Hundreds.
Well,
just at one border crossing.
How do you know the 100 you saw one night weren't the 100 you saw the night before?
Well, they had numbers. They took a number.
Yeah,
when they came
right.
Phil, are you familiar with the Brazil?
What?
Are you familiar?
Go ahead.
Yes,
no, you guys go ahead.
Go ahead, Jack.
Are you familiar with the Bracero program that we had in this country from the 1940s to the mid? All right. That is another solution. But we don't want to talk about that because that makes sense.
Well, how come when Bush wanted worker visas for guest workers, it was voted down?
Because there were a bunch of dumbass sons of bitches in Congress.
Right.
Like we got a bunch of dumbass son of bitches on the right in Congress right now.
They just don't want to give Trump the wall because Trump wants it. If it was anybody else, if it was Obama or Bush or anybody, they would have given him the money for the wall.
I'll drive you. I'll drive you.
You pick your team. You play the cards that you're dealt. You get up every day. You say there's going to be winners and losers. We're going to fight the next day about some damn thing. Let's get to it.
Here, I'm going to drive Phil crazy. Ocasio-Cortez for president.
Good thing she's too young.
2024.
She's too young to be president, but boy, I like her. Oh, I like her.
Oh, the world's coming to an end in 12 years. How could you listen to her voice?
Oh, I think.
You're the one
I can listen.
It's
it's like manna from heaven. I am hopeful that this country is in the hands of people like her, and that she's there now.
Boop.
You know something?
If you want to shoot the messenger,
why don't you listen to the messenger, Phil, and maybe you won't want to shoot her.
If you're wishing to listen to the messenger, you'd listen to Trump.
What's her message?
The message is that the world is going to end in 12 years if we don't do something about global warming.
Well, I think she's got a good point.
Yeah, and she's just using fear. You're the one that doesn't like
wants
fear.
To suck the rich bastards dry.
No,
we should.
She's using the persona of a gutsy, smart woman.
She will spend and spend and spend, and with just to kill the economy.
You don't have that argument anymore, Phil.
Nope.
You don't have that argument.
You don't have that argument anymore because you got a drunken sailor who
deficit go up.
You got a drunken sailor in office who was a lousy businessman who just blew through money and went bankrupt every other day.
And Trump has never made a case for how the wall was going to work.
Right.
He's never been able to show how the wall would keep people out.
You put up a wall. It's easy. You put up a wall. On one side there's Mexicans. On the other side there's no Mexicans. It's very simple. That's how it works.
Wall.
And there's no tunnels.
Well, no, wait a minute. You got to remember, it was a wall. Then it was slats.
Yeah.
And now it's what? It's just a fence.
No, it's Venetian blinds.
And no, it's as Nancy Pelosi said, it's going to be a beaded curtain when he finally comes down. He's caving in. Since the Democrats took over Congress, he's been caving like crazy. He doesn't know how to deal with this because Trump never caves. Trump never caves.
All he needs is a couple of these episodes.
I want to drive him so crazy he takes a fucking gun to his mouth, okay?
Yeah, no, he's going to come back fighting.
I'm just curious, though, as far as the shutdown issue, that like two things. You know, number one is like, why now? Because I guess I don't really understand if this is as important as it is. You know, and it's obviously important because the government is shut down basically over that issue. I mean, everyone concedes that. But I don't understand. I mean, why could this not have been accomplished in his first 2 years in office when, you know, he had all
votes.
I mean,
60 votes. He didn't have the 10.
So what? I mean, he couldn't get it done when he had all the power? I mean, I don't...
Well, wait a minute. Isn't this the guy that wrote a book called The Art of the Deal?
You mean put his name on?
Yeah, well, but the book is called The Art of the Deal. Well, where's the art of the deal, Trump?
The deal's not done.
He was banking on the midterms, and it blew up on him.
Yeah.
Yep. So you shut down, even if you believe that you're right, Phil, so you shut down the government now when you have far less mechanical power than you did in the first 2 years. Why wouldn't you have shut it down when you were 2 votes shy or 3 votes shy and use it as leverage to get 2 or 3 votes? Why wait until you need 10 or 12 in the Senate and dozens and dozens and dozens in the House to get it done?
Because he listened to a lot of people in a lot of crowds, and it got to his head, and he thought he was going to have a whole lot of steam going into midterms, and he thought he was going to, you know, have this big wave and a bunch more votes, and he was just going to take it right on through.
You remember how he spent a lot of our money using his airplane to go all around the country stumping. He was almost for 45 straight days. He was in some other city giving a speech.
And Obama.
And wait a minute, let me finish. No, he didn't do that much. No, he didn't. No, he didn't.
Just the quantity.
Not even close. Yeah. Well, the quantity, every time he takes that plane up, costs us money. Anyway, what I'm saying, Phil, let me finish, Phil. Phil, don't interrupt me when I'm talking, okay? Right. I just want to get one thought across without having you stop it, okay?
All right.
The point is, he went out and he stumped for all these people. And what did it get them? Nothing. Zippo.
More seats in the Senate.
Zippo. More seats in the Senate? A couple of seats in the Senate. Not enough. The Congress is where the subpoena power is. That's what he needed more than he ever needed more senators.
Yeah, well, one of his major goals is to put conservative judges in the appellate court as well as on the Supreme Court. And he's doing a damn good job of it.
Well, but you know what, Phil? We're finding out that it's not as important as you might think, because even the 2 guys that he put in there in the Supreme Court aren't necessarily siding with him. So these guys, they get serious, they take the Constitution serious, they take their job serious, and they're not going to be Trump stumpers.
That's what he wants. He wants good people that will uphold the Constitution. So he's actually saving this country.
Phil, let me point out something to you. Conservative judges, they too shall pass.
Right.
May take a while.
Maybe another 30 years.
Hey, you guys have to wait 40 years. I don't mind waiting 50 as long as we get people in there that are hard-ball hitters from my perspective.
Hold on a second. Yeah. The fact is that you put a conservative on the Supreme Court today. 30 years from now, he may not be conservative anymore. And let's go to Josh on this, because he's the expert on the Supreme Court. A lot of people. Am I right, Josh, that a lot of times these people they put in that they thought were going to be conservative wound up going the other way, or at least going to the middle?
Well, sure. I mean, but it happens that way on both sides, because I think a lot of people that end up in the judiciary are people who look at it more like I would. You know, it's not necessarily from a political perspective. I mean, there are a lot of things I'd like to see done that I think would be great, and I'm sure that the party that I support, you know, believes in, but I don't think that we have the power to just, you know, to just do it. I mean, sometimes you have to say things are okay even when you don't believe in them. I mean, you know, I've talked about that before. I mean, I'm not necessarily in favor of the death penalty, but, you know, if I were a judge on the United States Supreme Court, I'd have a hard time telling you that I think it's unconstitutional, because I don't think it's unconstitutional. You know, because we had the death penalty at the time the Constitution was ratified, and the people who wrote it didn't seem to have a problem with it. So, I mean, I'm just saying that's what I mean. A lot of times people end up being able to look past their, you know, perspective. Not everybody is an ultra partisan in the way that we think they are. I think sometimes we don't give people in the, you know, judiciary enough credit. We've talked about that before. I mean, that's what I've said about Chief Justice Roberts. I mean, if you don't like everything he does, that's fine. I agree, but I think he's shown himself to be an honorable person.
Yeah.
You know, over his time, and that's mostly what you're looking for. I mean, Trump's just not an honorable man. I mean, you know, Phil says he wants people who will look at and uphold the Constitution, and I think that's the last thing in the world Donald Trump should be looking for, because that's going to get him in a load of trouble, if you ask me. You know, when the time finally comes for him to pay the piper. And I mean, the only reason he's there is because that time hasn't come yet. But it's coming. The clock is ticking.
Well, you know, there are patriots out there, and we've had them since the Revolutionary War, that have put freedom over their own personal desires, and maybe that's what Trump is.
Yeah, calling
a patriot. But
he's an wait a minute. Trump is an absolute patriot?
Yes.
What do you mean? We have every reason to believe that he colluded with the Russians. That's hardly patriotism.
Hey, you know, in this country, you're innocent until proven guilty.
Well, he will be proven guilty.
Well, we'll see. But you know, this is supposition on your part.
Yes, it is, and it's healthy supposition.
And that's called bullshit. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Hey, I got a question to ask you that is a little off topic. In New York today, I understand that they, when it comes to abortion, that they said you can have abortions up until term. You know, to the end of the term.
I didn't see it.
I believe the exception still was made for cases of rape and incest, though.
No. It became much more liberal, the ability to have an abortion in New York State.
Regardless, I agree with that decision.
I did not see that.
Too. Until you pull the baby out of the womb, it's not a life.
So you're in favor of killing babies? Is that?
I said until you pull the baby.
I'm in favor of retroactive.
I agree with that notion, but you're putting.
I'm in favor of retroactive abortion, Phil, and I would start with Trump.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a misanthropic person myself, Alex, as you by now are well aware.
Yeah. But I don't know of such a thing being done in New York City. No.
What happened in New York? What happened in the state of New York? Governor Cuomo, in fact, codified the current abortion legislation in that state.
Which is?
Did that allow for late term abortions up until just the day of delivery?
Well, let's talk about that for a second, if you don't mind. That is such a rare occurrence, I don't see why we even talk about it.
Well, because now it's law in New York.
Like I said, that is such a rare occurrence. It is not law in New York. It is not law in New York.
What did they say today that Cuomo?
No, actually, it happened yesterday. Because you were sleeping, it happened yesterday, but basically what it did, it enshrined the existing state laws in New York.
There was one other law that Cuomo also did. Do you remember what that one was yesterday?
Was it about abortion?
No.
No, I was only interested in the abortion situation because that's the great American current football.
Okay, so you're good with killing babies, but it's okay. It's not good to keep our.
Have you ever been in a movie theater when they start crying? Have you ever been in a movie theater when they start crying?
Wait, Jack, Alex is trying to say something.
Well, it doesn't matter. I say something and nobody stops.
Theater, you said.
Yeah.
What? Okay.
So the Republican position is we don't want to kill babies, but when they're born, we don't want to take care of them. No health care for mothers, unwed mothers, people who need help with babies. We don't have any money for that either. So they want to keep them around, but then they just fuck them.
That's your opinion.
Well, that's what
that's the actuality.
They want them to work.
That's what happens in that. Oh, Jesus Christ.
So they want them to work.
You don't think a mother should stay home and raise that child, Phil?
Yeah.
And then,
and
pay all the money.
Then aren't you willing? Aren't you maybe?
A husband and a wife.
Maybe.
Keeping the family.
Rhea's saying goodbye.
My first wife's sister was a counselor at a women's clinic in Dallas. A clinic that was picketed for almost 4 years. And one of the things she told me that I found just so telling about the right to life bunch, she said this clinic was open 6 days a week. Now, they provided things other than pregnancy termination. And she said one of the things that she saw that was so hilarious is some of the very same women who were out there on the picket lines Monday through Friday would come in on Saturdays for their own abortion procedure.
Sounds like the church. You go to church on Sunday,
I'm glad you said that. The one religious organization in this country that has been consistent with its view on the question of life and children and fetuses and all of that has been the Catholic Church. But remember this. A natural abortion, a miscarriage, that fetus does not receive first rights, is not named,
last rights,
buried. Yeah. Now, I can't think of anybody that I know of or have ever met that is for abortion, even if they're for a woman's choice. Right. But they say if we're going to have these things, let's make them safe and therapeutic. Or do we want to get back to what we used to do when I was a teenager and Alex was a teenager, where we put them in back alleys on kitchen tables? Now, if you want to vote for that, I'm all for you doing it.
Story that two girls in New Jersey got aborted with a coat hanger, and now all of a sudden they're all unsafe.
2 girls in New Jersey, Phil? That was a common way of getting rid of kids in those days. The back alley abortions were left to people who didn't know what they were doing.
You met someone whose mother induced her own abortion that way.
Who, me?
No. Amy Manuel's mother did that twice because at that time there was no way to legally get an abortion. Yeah. And the woman was in a situation where she said, I can't raise 2 more kids.
So add that to your 2 cases in New Jersey.
And have you heard of adoption? I mean, there are parents that are begging.
Phil, stop with the bullshit.
About adoption.
We got a theme song going here.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I know
Phil, we'll pick this up.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Good night.
Jack's got a show to do. He's going to do the intersection, which comes up next, right after this. We got Jeff Stein there. Thank you so much, Jeff, for being with us. Josh. When you piped in tonight, beautiful stuff, great stuff. Charles Wallace, good job tonight, Charles. Same to you, Kevin. Everybody was participating tonight. Phil, thank you. Brian Ludwig, and of course the lovely and attractive and the voice of Gabnet, Rob Alfano. Everybody there, why don't you do the job of giving a big wave goodbye to the audience out there, and I'll do my wave from here. Okay, bye-bye, everybody. That's our citizens panel for tonight. They really did a good job tonight. It was kind of hard for me to get in, though. I got to figure out why they can't hear me as well, so that I can have a salient conversation with everybody. Anyway, that's it for tonight, folks. The intersection is next with Jack Bishop, and then tomorrow night at 9:30, it's the exchange. We didn't have one tonight because there were some last-minute problems that Damien had to attend to. And then I'll see you tomorrow night at midnight, at 10 o'clock Eastern Time. Same time, same station in life. In the meantime, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Bye-bye, everybody.